All right, let's see what we can control. This is the good news. Woohoo! So our first modules were kind of bad news. We found out that there's certain things that we can't control and that there might be just some people that are just not interested in us. We're just not their type. And it really doesn't have anything to do with us. It has to do with their past, and so we're not going to take it personal. But let's also say that there are certain things that we can control, and let's see what we can do about them. Okay, so let's look at the first thing we can kind of control a little bit. Is the first principle of social factor attraction is we tend to be attracted to people that we see on a regular basis. So if there is someone that you're interested in, make sure that they kind of see you on a regular basis. Don't be a stalker though, okay? How about that? But like, for example, if you know somebody's a soccer player, then make sure you go to their soccer games. And if you know that somebody's into concerts, then try to go to concerts. If they're into car shows, then try to go to the car show. If they like to take a certain class or they're in a certain club, then try to be in that club. So I remember when I was in college, I was taking social psychology. And to be honest, at the time when I was that age, I hated social psychology because I'm definitely a neuroscientist, and kind of social psychology is the antithesis to neuroscience. So I was so gung-ho on neuroscience that I couldn't even see the beauty of social psychology. Now I feel like, okay, I can see both. I'm still a neuroscientist, but I see how social psychology has definitely a force on us. So my social psychology class was one of those big 300 classrooms classes, and the professor walks in on the first day and he says, "Class, I would like you to look around the room because statistics say that you are more likely to date someone in this room than almost anyone else on campus." And we're like, what? And so he started his class on attraction, like what I'm starting my class on attraction, because a lot of us are interested in how do we attract mates. You know, we're in that zone, like I want to find a potential partner. And so he was talking about this statistic. Did you know that you're likely to marry someone that lives within a 5 to 10 mile radius of your home? Now, this was back in the day, so I am not sure if this, like with all the dating apps, I think some of you might know, I own that Museum of Love, which is right down the street from LACC, and I work there. It's just a silly little museum, and I interview the couples that come in, and as they come into the museum, the first activity is they put a little heart on the wall, and we ask them, or I ask them, okay, can you tell me how your love story started? And guess what? I would say 70% of all the people that come into the museum, they met on dating apps. So I'm wondering if this doesn't hold true as much today now with dating apps, because dating apps, you can date people that are much farther. You go and you look for them. You don't just bump into them. But I would say, okay, so like if I had to tell you about the other stories that come, is work. They met people at work. They met people through a mutual friend. It's kind of rare that they say, oh, I just met in a store, or oh, I just met in a club. Sometimes a club, but a lot of times, you know, it's I met because we were in the same area. We knew the same circle of friends. We worked together a lot. So there's a statement that says, if you put two animals in a cage and you leave them there and they are of the opposite sex, they're eventually going to mate. We tend to be attracted to things that we see on a regular basis. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that. Have you ever experienced that? Like the first time you see somebody, you're like, don't really notice. And then maybe the second time, don't really notice. Maybe third time, fourth time, and then finally about the fifth time, you're like, hey, they're actually pretty attractive. maybe that's kind of what it is. So let's just get back to this proximity. So one thing that we can control is we tend to be attracted to people who we see on a regular basis. So I guess on the dating app, maybe you could like just check in with people. Like if they didn't answer you the first time, maybe you could check in. But please be careful. Don't step over the line of I'm stalking you. You know, if somebody tells you, hey, I'm not interested, you need to take that as a no, a firm no. Okay, right? All right, let's go to the next one. Here's the next one is guess what? We like people who like us. So something that can make you really attractive is just being interested in the other person, just showing interest. So we're going to do like this classical conditioning thing. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to tell you about like lighting up. Like when I was younger, before I kind of knew these principles, is like if I really liked somebody, I would kind of hide from them or act like, oh, I don't really like them, which is the worst thing to do. You want to show somebody like, oh my gosh, you're the king, or oh my goodness, you're the queen. You want to show them, wow, you're amazing. But you also want to have your own life too, and that's the key, okay, right? But the principle of reciprocity is we tend to like people who like us. So this is a big problem that I hear about on dates. Is I hang out with women and I talk to women a lot. And my female students, they talk to me. I like to talk to male students too, but I'm just going to tell you what I hear from women a lot. Oh my gosh, he never asks me anything about me. He just talks about him. And guys, you probably feel the same way too. You've probably run into people that, partners that they just talk about themselves. So one thing that can make you really attractive is just to take interest in someone else and just be excited about who they are. When I ask my students in my face-to-face classes, like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? They all tend to say the same thing. They tend to say, I'm looking for someone who gets me. And isn't that it? Is you just want somebody who seems to understand you. They get you. Okay? All right. So reciprocity. Back up. Proximity is we tend to be attracted to people that we see on a regular basis. And reciprocity is we tend to like people who like us. So if you want to be more sexy, then just like a lot of people. Like, wow, you're amazing. Okay. Oh, what is backing this up? So I've told you guys that I'm definitely a neuroscientist. And so what we're going to see in just a minute is we are going to see this video on mirror neurons. So it kind of sparked so we'll see it in the next link, as I'll let you watch that video, but I'll explain it right now. Have you ever noticed what is it that makes a teacher good? I've asked my students this because of course I want to know. That's what I do for a living. Like, what makes you guys say a certain teacher is good or not? And you know what? It doesn't seem to be any technique. It doesn't seem to be like they're super easy. It doesn't seem to be they're super hard. It doesn't seem to be that they're super knowledgeable about their subject. The key factor that I've heard from students is this. They're excited about what they teach. And it could be math. If they're super excited about math and they're excited to be in there, they're a great teacher. It doesn't matter if it's chemistry or if it's music or if it's psychology. And that is it, is we tend to be attracted. We are excited by people that are excited. And so we're going to find out that you have 2 clusters of cells on either side of your head. Oops, sorry about that. And these clusters of cells is they react to what other people are doing. So if I am happy, then it kind of makes you feel happy. If I'm excited about you, then you tend to be excited about you. But if I feel down and out, then it kind of tends to bring you down and out. We don't like to be around people that are really miserable. We kind of want to stay away because we know that they can influence us. In fact, a lot of us are like, oh, I don't want to go there. Just when we need people the most, they reject us. And it's kind of because they can feel like, oh, I'm going to be brought down too. All right, so we're going to see a video on that in just a minute, but let's see what else we have on this slide before we go on to that mirror neuron, that like kind of showing you a neuroscience backing on why we're attracted to people who like us. And I think a key to being attractive is just to be the best that you can be. If you are constantly trying to be the best that you can be, that radiates from you. Okay, let's do the next one, similarity. Another thing that we seem to be attracted to is people who are similar to us. Remember I talked to you about it? I was like, oh, when I asked my students, like, hey, what do you guys want? And they say, I want somebody who gets me. That's kind of like similarity, like, oh, they get me. We have similar interests. Oh, I can feel we're very similar. How does it feel to hang out with somebody that just like is totally against you or doesn't have the same beliefs as you or same values as you? You know, for a minute it's okay, but the constant banter back and forth, like, you make me feel bad. You make me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. We're fighting all the time. So we tend to be attracted to people who are similar to us. And that's not just similar values. They have found that you tend to be attracted to somebody who's similar level attractiveness as you, about the similar weight as you, about the similar height as you, about the similar age as you. Now, so a lot of you right now are like, no, Amy, I do not see that. I see really ugly girls with really handsome guys, or really, one is more attractive, one is less attractive, this and that. Okay, but here's the thing. I dare you to sit somewhere for 20 minutes and watch every couple go by. And yes, you are going to see some that are dissimilar, but those are the ones that are going to stand out. All the similar ones are just going to go by. But when you actually count the number that are similar versus dissimilar, I think you're going to find people that are more similar. Okay, right? Just because the more similar we are, the less we kind of have to navigate, right? Okay, now here, one thing that we're seeing that I think we see different in Los Angeles than other places is I don't think we are necessarily similar race anymore. I think the race thing is we're seeing more diversity in the racial dating. And that used to be an issue for people. So I don't know, maybe we can do that as a discussion or something. That would be interesting, right? All right, last one on this slide. Dun-dun-dun. Okay, this one, self-disclosure. This is a skill. This is definitely a skill. Is we tend to be attracted to people that divulge just the right level of self-disclosure. If you say too much too fast, that's called over-disclosure. And what it does is it repels people. So if you say something that people are not ready to hear too fast, it results in lessened attraction. And if you don't say anything, you don't reveal anything about yourself, it also tends to decrease attraction. So we tend to be attracted to people that reveal just the right amount of themselves. So they kind of go along kind of cultural standards for self-disclosure. So if you hang out with people and just think about it, you hang out with somebody and you say something and they're like, oh my gosh, I know, I totally agree with that. Yes. And I had this too. And you just go at these very basic levels. But if the person was like, oh my gosh, I relate to that, and they just go on and telling you all this stuff that's like way too fast, can you feel that you just be like, oh my gosh, I'm not attracted to them? I remember one time we were at a wedding and this woman was beautiful, 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 beautiful. But the guys just kept walking away from her. So I told my friend, I was like, hey, can you go over there and talk to her and see what's up? And he came back rolling his eyes. And it was just that she kept talking and talking and talking without asking him anything about himself. And the things that she was talking about was, he said, were just ridiculous. She told me that her living room was flooded and it had this bad smell and that she didn't know what to do. And this is the first meeting, okay, right? But then maybe a lot of you have also had this experience where you go and you hang out with somebody and they don't talk. And it just feels awkward, right? It just feels so awkward. You feel like you're pulling teeth. You're just like, oh my gosh. So it's such a skill to have, like the right amount of self-disclosure, is learn how to tell a little bit about yourself, but then also talk to the other person. You need to get really good at, what is that kind of talk called? It's just, just like kind of bantering, just like basic talk, right? It's small talk, they call it, right? There's the word that I'm looking for. All right, let's go check out this mirror neuron video. You're going to love it.